What is that?
How are you?
Good. Thank you. How are you?
I had ladies yesterday, maybe one or two ladies traveling at 9 o'clock, so they had to put the kids up. How's life? Yeah, summer plan? You working summer too?
Yeah. Yeah, but I have 2 weeks break right now. 10 sessions.
You taking your wife somewhere?
Yeah.
Anyway,
We went to Newfoundland.
what's up?
Newfoundland.
Where's that? Oh, Canada.
Yeah, have you heard of Newfoundland, Labrador? No? Nova Scotia?
That's the French part of it?
It's across from Quebec.
Okay.
It's like the furthest northeastern part of Canada.
Well,
It's very picturesque. Rugged. I don't know. It's just sort of just came to us. We've been to.
Morning, good morning, good morning. What nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. How are you? Baruch Hashem.
what do I say there?
You look more rested today.
I'm sorry?
You look more rested today.
I had more coffee this morning before share, so it worked out well.
But I'm no more rest.
No, it's good. Baruch Hashem. It's good.
I'm still a little on Israel time. It's much easier to get up.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you slept in.
Which would last.
Yeah. On many levels.
Yeah,
you know?
that's so many.
All right. All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin. So we're picking up top of page Tzadik Ches. So remember, again, we left off yesterday, I think, in a very dramatic place. So the Mechaber introducing us to the idea that the first level of Bechira, the first thing in which we exercise our free choice, the Mechaber posits, is to be b'simcha, is to go ahead and ultimately, again, find happiness in our current circumstances. And even if our current circumstances are not to our liking, and even if it's clear that our current circumstances need to change, even in some type of dramatic fashion, a person first has to go ahead and be b'simcha in their current circumstances in order to be able to advance their life forward. After I exercise Bechira on this first level to be b'simcha, then I can exercise my Bechira on the second level to figure out what should I do, what shouldn't I do, which direction should I take, what should I avoid, what should I amplify. But first, the person has to begin with simcha. And again, we spoke about yesterday, there are two reasons for that. Number one, because a person can't think clearly, and a person doesn't see things clearly if he's in a state of atzos, if he's in a state ultimately of sadness. And furthermore, again, the only way to go ahead and really live a life of growth is to feel a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning in all of my life circumstances, not just the desired circumstances, but even the undesired circumstances. So what we pick up on the top of Tzadik Ches. We read this line, but we'll just begin from here. Ulam, lo'ar mashe is barnu muvanata, שבזה שהם אינם מרוצים מהחיים, אזי בוודאי בכל רגע ורגע מחייהם אינם בוחרים נכון. Well, see here the Mechaber says, because the danger is that if a person is not in a state of simcha regarding their current circumstances, if a person literally is unhappy with the life they have, then ultimately, again, in every single moment, it is difficult to choose correctly. If I am not in the right kind of headspace, if I don't find a sense of simcha, even in my current circumstances, it's difficult to make the correct decisions in life. Ki etzim hargasha shalahem, she'ulai hem einam osim es hadavar hanachon, hi atzma ta'us shetzricha tikun lefnei kol pula acheres. Because again, the Mechaber posits that the feeling that a person can walk around with, that I'm not doing the right thing, the feeling that a person can walk around with of constantly second-guessing themselves and not feeling like they're going down a purposeful path is something in and of itself that requires tikkun, that requires a remedy before anything else. Shahari, afilu kasher bar la'adam sheyeshnam shinuyim shu chayiv lasos. This is a very profound statement. Even if when I know that there are things in my life that I have to change, I mean, it's clear to me that there are aspects of my life, of myself, that I have to change, whether it's beruchnios or begashmios, whether it's in my spiritual life, in my material life. Yesh lo siba lo lihios merutza. I will say sometimes a person, I know that my life is in a state of disrepair. Sometimes I know that there is a problem. I know that my life is just simply not where it needs to be. And so I know that a change has to happen. As gam as habechira shalo behechrich maschila milios mech bechalko. Well, say this is an incredible statement. Even when I know my life is in a state of disrepair, even when I know that significant changes have to be made, the first step is still being besimcha. The first step is still ultimately, again, finding happiness, finding meaning, finding contentment in the chilek, in the portion that I have. Also, you hear this statement, we're normally hardwired and conditioned to think that if I know that change has to be made, I'm not happy. Again, I realize, as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. I can't change everything in a moment, but we often think that part of our avoda is to be unhappy with my current circumstances if I know they are incorrect. The Mechaber says it's such an incredible chiddush. The Mechaber says it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Rather, again, even when I know that life is in a state of disrepair, when I know that things have to change, I have to find a way to find simcha, to be happy, even in my current compromised circumstances. But you'll see to yourself, one second, doesn't being happy in your current circumstances by definition preclude growth by potentially fostering and engendering a feeling of complacency? To which the Mechaber says, no, you're misunderstanding it. I can find a way to be happy in my current circumstances, recognizing that they could change. But so just to give you a very simple yisod. So we write from Mishnah Pirkei Avos, Ezu Ashir Hasamech Bechalko. Right? Who's rich? One who is happy with his portion. So does that mean that, let's say I have X, I have this amount of money or this thing. Does that mean that being Samech Bechalko means that I can't want more? Is that what it means? I can't want more? No, I can want more. In other words, let's say again, I'm struggling financially. So I could go ahead and say the following. So the Mishnah teaches me, I have to find happiness in what I have. Does that mean that I'm not going to think about ways to make more money or ways in which to improve my financial materials? Of course not. But what the Mishnah is saying is sometimes you have to live in two states simultaneously. I know that I want to grow, whether that's materially or spiritually. So I know that where I am right now is not where I want to remain. That being said, I have to figure out a way to be besimcha where I am. So in a material sense, what that means is I have to find happiness and contentment with the material life that I have. But even in a ruchni situation, even in a spiritual where I know that I have to grow, I know that I have to change, I still have to find a way to be besimcha, even in my current circumstance. The Mechaber says, and now we're going to explain this. He says, because we'll say, now we'll discuss exactly how do you feel besimcha in a situation or in a state that you know is inherently compromised. Right? How do you, so of course the simple answer is, because again, looping back to what we're learning this whole time, there's good in every circumstance. Even if my circumstances are compromised, at the end of the day, again, there's ways in which I can grow. There's ways in which I can maximize. There are things that I could do even in this particular state. So there's always simcha to be had because there's always a recognition that everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My job is to feel the simcha in my circumstances, even though they're currently compromised and even though I'm actively working to change them. Because it's only if I'm able to develop this sense of simcha, shayidei zeh, because through this, this is that through recognizing ultimately again that there is simcha, that there is tov, even in these current circumstances, I will be able to feel that Hashem is tov, that the emotional is with me. This is an incredible yisod. In order to change, real profound, lasting change, only really occurs from a position of strength. The Mechaber posits. Although again, there are other models of change where a person hits rock bottom and a person is so terribly crushed and so terribly demoralized that they have nowhere to go but up. That is true. But the Mechaber says in general, more effective change comes about when a person feels like there's goodness in their circumstances, but there's also incredible opportunity and incredible potential for growth. When a person feels the simcha in their circumstances, they're able to feel that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with them. That presence of God and that yishuv hadas, that inner tranquility, gives them the ability to be makabel different things and different changes upon themselves. Kol shekein, kasher adam eino yodea bichlal, ma'u tzarich l'shagos. We'll say all the more so. And sometimes if you have this gnawing feeling that something has to change, but I'm not exactly sure what. I know something has to, but I don't know exactly what. Uma tov bishvilo, or ultimately again, what is good for me. Shaz chayev hu liyos sameach b'metzius shehu chayba. A person will say has to find the incredible simcha in the metzius in which he's currently living. Kafi shashem ashkiach alav, as the Ribono Shel Olam goes ahead and organizes for him. We'll say again, an incredible yisod. Only if I find the simcha in my current circumstances am I able to feel the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Am I able to go ahead and have the inner tranquility, inner quietude, inner understanding to be able to make the necessary changes I want to in life. Listen to this. Therefore, in everything that I do in life, when I'm involved with my children, or sidurim, or I will say I'm trying to organize different things. Sidurim doesn't literally mean I'm making sidurim, but rather again I'm creating organization in my life. I'm creating tiers, hierarchies. When a person davens, or lomed, or learns, or osek b'mitzvah zu, or ba'acheres, or is involved in this mitzvah, a different mitzvah, or oseh chesed, or does any kind of chesed, ya'aseh hakol b'simcha. I will say whatever you're doing in life, you have to do it with a sense of simcha. Now understand over here, the Mechaber's simcha that he's describing, it's not just simply a smile, but rather again is a sense of purpose. It's a sense of purpose that even if what you're doing or where you are in life, you know this is not where you want to end up. You know that you can't stay here. This where you are right now is not the right place for you. You need to grow. You need to transcend. You need to become something. So we'll say, human nature is that, like there are some people where they never live in the moment. They never live in the moment. They're always somewhere else. They're always somewhere else. I will say now, on one hand, if harnessed, that could be used, that could be very powerful, because where that comes from is an incredible desire for growth. But Nebuch, if you know a person like that, or people like that, or if you yourself are like that, it's incredibly difficult life to lead because you're never b'simcha. You're never b'simcha because it's always, what's next? Okay, this is nice, this is great, this is wonderful. And when you can't live in the moment, of say you miss out on so much in life. And ultimately, again, you also miss out on the ability to build in a concrete fashion, because growth requires methodical thought. For me, it's always, what's next? There's no ability to digest. to understand, and to actively plan. Therefore, he says, whatever you're doing in life, even if you know that where you are right now is not the place where you want to end up, you know you have to get to somewhere else. That's fine. Make no more than fine. That's great. Make the plans, but make sure you also find the simcha in your current circumstances. He goes on, he says, "V'lo yaniach li yitzhara, lo seis lo hargasha shel hachmatza, ki'ilu hu tzarech ata lasos davar acher." I will say sometimes the yitzhara, the way he works is, tells us ultimately again, these circumstances that you're in, this is not where you want to be in life. This is not the life you want for yourself. This is not the circumstances you want for yourself. You need to move on. And the yitzhara then deflates my ability to maximize what I'm holding in life. Kizo darko shala yitzhara. Shebachol ma sheyasa adam humabal baloso kadesh lo yemarutza afpam. What's the way the yitzhara works? We've talked about this many times. You know, the yitzhara is much more sophisticated than getting me to sin. Getting me to sin. Okay, you know what? You all commit averos. Fine, got it. Let's move on. Right? In other words, that's not the yitzhara's real strategy. His real strategy, I will say, is to make me unhappy in life. If you can make a person unhappy in life, I will say, that opens the doors for all kinds of negative behaviors. Ki ha'adam chayiv kodem kol lihyo samech bechalko, v'lasos hakol b'simcha, v'rak az im hu mevin, shu tzarech lasos davar acher, ya'aseh osa davar acher gam kin b'simcha. But I want to say something. I think this is mamish like a life-altering lesson. What the Mechaber is saying is that even when change has to occur, even when you know change has to occur, do not let change come at the expense of simcha in your current circumstances. You know you want to change your life. You know you want to advance your life. I know that things have to be different. Great. How do I maximize where I am right now as opposed to just thinking about where I need to get to? That's called finding the simcha in your current circumstances. Because I will say, think about what's the alternative. The alternative is just focusing on where I need to get to without maximizing where I am. That's problematic on two levels. First of all, you can't get where you need to get to without maximizing where you are. And number two, you lose out on the circumstances that you have. It takes time to get to the next level. It takes time to get to my intended destination. If I'm not maximizing where I am, then I'm losing all of those incredible opportunities of growth. So let's just finish off this last paragraph on page Tzad Ches. Nimsa shekashem alecha chayim hu'ulalo takalos miyuchados bevadei tzarcha adam la'amin shakol tova. Therefore, I will say, even when it turns out that the pathway to life, I will say, is not necessarily filled with incredible obstacles, but nevertheless, it's taking me time to get to my intended destination. I have to believe that Hakol is the Tova. So we'll say what he's describing over here, and is that sometimes in life, where I am right now is not where I want to be. But where I am right now doesn't necessarily have any specific problems. It's just not where I want to be. A person has to figure out how to be b'simcha even in those moments. So we'll say, we'll stop over here for today. But suffice it to say, I think, you know what our greatest challenge is? Our greatest challenge is that we learn life-altering lessons at 5:45 in the morning. And to be honest, like I need like a couple of more coffees and another hour of sleep to fully. But this is gold. This is literally gold. This is the ability. What he's teaching over here is if I want to advance in life, because I know that where my life is right now is not where I want to be. I have to do something that sounds profoundly counterintuitive. I have to find the simcha in my current circumstances, even though they are compromised and not where I want to be in life, in order to be able to advance to the next stage in life. Because if I don't find the simcha in my current circumstances, then A, the Ribbon Shalom is not with me, then B, I'm not thinking clearly, and then C, I don't have the ability to maximize these circumstances and use them as the stepping stone to get to the next stage in life. See, even though again on a logical level, I would have thought there's no simcha in these circumstances. Fakir, what's my job? What's my job in my car, my circumstances? Get out of these circumstances as quickly as possible. That might be true. I might have to change the circumstances, extricate myself, but I also have to take the time and go through the process of finding the simcha in these circumstances, finding the strength in these circumstances, and building on these circumstances. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with me, and then I have the ability to progress to the next level. So we'll stop over here. We're not finished with this in Meretz Hashem. We'll continue in Meretz Hashem tomorrow morning. All right. All right, we'll say good morning. Today's daf is Kuf Nun Vav 156. We are picking up on Kuf Nun Hey 155. B. And we'll say let's pick up with Amar Rav Chuna Beit Rav Yoshua. It's 2, 4, 6, 7 lines from the bottom. So a lot to do. We'll say we dedicate our learning today. This is a chus for the Rebushlim of Esti Samuel, of Esther Bas Chana is having a bone marrow transplant today. We hope that in the merit of our time Torah, she together with Kol Cholei Yisrael, will have a complete and enduring refuah. Amen. So let's begin. Amar Rav Chuna Beit Rav Yoshua. So we'll remember again, we were discussing yesterday a really fascinating sugya regarding the katan. So we've established for our purposes is the following: that a katan needs to be 20 years old. We pass in like Rapuna. Katan needs to, although we'll see that in just a little bit. Where katan needs to be 20 years, or I should say, it's not a katan. The son needs to be 20 years old before he's empowered to go ahead and sell off his father's property. But we'll say what we also discussed was the concept that if a child is very young but has business acumen, then ultimately, again, they would be able to go ahead and sell off the state property even earlier. And we'll say now, the fact that we're going ahead and discussing older ages, in other words, we're discussing 18, 20 years old, even though, again, on a technical level, a person or a child becomes a gadol for a boy at the age of 13 years old in one day, for a girl at the age of 12 years old in one day. But nevertheless, this situation is a bit different because this is not really about adulthood, but this is about business acumen, wanting to make sure that the child who's selling off estate property possesses the necessary quality and skill and understanding to be able to do so. So with that, I'm going to read Rabbi Yeshua, Ule edus, edus, edus. I will say, even though again we bumped up the age to conduct business to 20 years old, but for edus, we'll say for the ability to be a witness from the age of 13 years old, in one day, a boy is able to go out and serve as a witness. Amar Zutra said, "Lo Amar Ela lemetaltali." So Zutra said that's only true that he can testify regarding metaltalin. But at the age of 13 years old in one day, he can't testify regarding matters of karka. So what it sounds like over here is he's saying you can only testify about karka when you reach the age of 20. So the Gemara says, so why is it that the child who's 13 years old in one day is believed to testify about metaltalin, but not about karka? The zabine zvini. So it sounds like that since the child has the ability, or since the young man has the ability to, or the child, the 13 years old in one day, has the ability to go ahead and sell off metaltalin, therefore what? He has the ability to testify about metaltalin. But since he doesn't have the ability to sell off karka until the age of 20, therefore what? He doesn't have the ability to testify regarding karka. And if that's the case, hadisnan hapuutos mekchan mekach umemkaran memkar. The metaltalin, yet we'll say we learned pautos will say our children. Again, Chazal legislated that children, even below the age of bar bas mitzvah, in fact, do have the ability to sell off property. Metaltalin. Why Rabbi was saying this was a necessary enactment in order to allow for their support. Because since at the end of the day, the children may need to do certain things in order to free up funds to be able to support themselves. Therefore, halacha l'maaseh Chazal legislated that they're permitted to do so. So Gemara says, maybe you're going to say that since they have the ability to sell, hachanami dei dusan edus, maybe you'll say that they have the ability to testify as well. And also, we know that's not the case. A child below the age of bar bas mitzvah does not have the ability to testify, to which the Gemara says that's different. But when it comes to testimony, there's Gzer Sakasif. The Gzer Sakasif is va'amdu shnei ha'anashim. The two men stand before the court. What do you see from here? That in order to engage in edus, you have to satisfy the criteria of anashim, men, adults. And because these are children, therefore they can't serve as witnesses. And this is quite interesting. So Hamemar comes along and says, furthermore, once a child is above the age of 13 years old and 1 day, if he gifts away a state property, the gift stands. I will say, so you understand that the interesting novelty in this, even though, again, that child is not empowered to sell a state property, he is empowered to go ahead and gift away a state property. So Rav said to me about 1 second, Hashta, Umazivini, Demekabel Zuzi Amrat, Delo, Dilma Mozil, Umazbin. So Rav says to me, I don't understand that. You don't allow this child of 13 years old in 1 day, who is a technical halachic gadol, to go ahead and sell property, even though what? He's receiving money for that. Because what are you concerned about? You're concerned that he's not well versed enough and he may end up selling the property for less money. So the Gemara says, Kol shekin matana delo matili velo midi. So I don't understand, if you're not letting him sell property, where at least he's getting money for it, why would you permit him to gift away property where he's getting nothing for it? So Rav Ashi responded to Hamemar with a top of Kof Nun Vav, using that logic. Zavin shavi chamisha b'shisa. So Rav says back to Rav Ashi, so you're telling me that in a case where, let's say, the property was worth 5 zuz, and the katan sold it, or excuse me, not the katan, the boy, 13 years old, and 1 day sold it for 6 zuz, so he made a profit. Are you going to say that the transaction stands? And Rav said, of course, the answer to that is no. The answer, of course, is that halacha l'maaseh, again, the transaction of the child of 13 years old in 1 day is not a valid transaction, even if he ends up selling it for a profit. So Hamemar says, so if that's the case, why is it that we allow the child of 13 years old in 1 day to give a gift? To which the Gemara says, we'll say, here's the issue. The reason why Chazal said that a child of 13 years old in 1 day is not permitted to sell, this is, we'll say, in the absence of the child exhibiting incredible business acumen. The reason we don't allow him to sell property, I will say, is why? Because we assume children like money, right? Why do children like money? Because it's shiny, because it makes noise, because it's very nice. So what happens? And when we say children, by the way, we're talking about the young man, right, above the age of 13 years old in 1 day. Therefore, what's the issue? V'i amrit zavine. If somebody comes over to the young boy, 13 years old in 1 day, and says, "Sell me the property," zinin dimikarkashi le zuze, azul mazbin lekulu nechasi da'avua. What are we concerned about? Someone's going to rattle some coins in front of the young man. He's going to get very excited. Also, again, now that he has the ability to have other, there's a deeper idea over here, which is that the young man doesn't necessarily understand the full value of real estate. So what he does understand, what he understands the value of is what? Is money. So somebody's going to come with a wad of bills, right, and is going to offer it to him for this property. Either it's grossly undervalued, right? Meaning, again, this is not the real value of the property, and the kid's going to take it. Aval gabi matana. When it comes, and that's why halacha l'maaseh, we don't allow the son to sell off the state property until what we're posting as age 20, which we assume is old enough to have cultivated a most basic business acumen. Right, so we put in a fail safe there. You can't sell a property before the age of 20. However, when it comes to matana, when it comes aval gabi matana, ilav dahavi lehanoa mineh. This is interesting. When it comes to matana, if the child didn't have to, I could calling him child, but if the young man did not have some kind of hana'ah from this matana, lo habit yahiv le matana. See, what we understand is the following: is at the end of the day, so a young man, right, 13 years old in 1 day, is not going to give away something for nothing. Therefore, if he's giving a matana to someone, it must be because he is getting something in return. If you look at the Rashbam says, we'll say it's right about 4 lines in from the lines get short. He says, Ilav de Isle Hana Gidola Mine. If it were not for the fact that the child is getting back some greater benefit than the value of the gift, he would not do this. So we'll say what's interesting is the following. What we are concerned about is that he will sell something beneath the actual value, beneath market value. That's what we're concerned about. What we're not concerned about is that what? He's going to give away something for nothing. So therefore, again, if he gives a matana, we understand that he's probably has a cheshbon. What's his cheshbon? He perceives that he's getting something bigger back in return for the matana. Now, lav dafka that he's getting back something right now, but he understands that by giving the matana to this person, what will happen? There's some type of promise or some type of possibility for something bigger in the future. Therefore, Amar Rabbanon tehevi matanos matana says a very important statement. Therefore, the rabbi said, let his matana stand in order that what? Dile avdu lehu mili. In order that people will do good for him in the future. Look at the Rashbam. Dile avdu mili. It's about 6 lines in from where it gets short. Dile avdu mili. Ligmolo chased ulehetiv levecholin yad. I will say, sometimes if the son gives matanos, those matanos engender a certain sense of favor with other people. Because they engender a certain sense of favor with other people, therefore what? It opens the doors for him to be the recipient from some types of chesed later on. So we'll say, so what's happening over here is absolutely amazing. What's happening over here, says the Gemara, is like this. So we're going to wrap this up, this sugya up in just a little bit, even though we're saying that the age of 20 is the age that one needs to reach in order to sell off estate property. What we're now seeing is that what? Is that halacha l'maisa, again, for gift giving. So a son is empowered to gift away parts of the estate from the age of 13 years old in one day. Why? Because we're not concerned he's going to give away something for nothing. We're assuming that he's bright enough to understand that if he's giving gifts, it's because he's trying to lay the groundwork for some future reciprocal transaction or some future chesed that the individual may do for him. Therefore, again, it's in the best interest of the estate to allow for gifts to be given, and therefore, again, halacha l'maisa, the gift itself stands. So the sale of property can't take place until the age of 20, but a gifting of property already can take place from the age of 13 years old in one day. Amar Nachman, Amar Shmuel. So I'll say the Gemara is just going on a little bit of a detour for just a little bit. Now that we've spoken about, again, we spoke about in yesterday's daf, shtei sa'aros, right? Signs of physical maturation. So the Gemara is kind of going on a detour on that. Amar Nachman, Amar Shmuel, Bodkin l'kiddushin, l'gerishin, l'chalitza. So I'll say the halacha is, the list goes on, but I'll pause here for just a moment. Rav Nachman and Mishnah said Bodkin means we check if we're talking about a situation where these things are happening with someone who has just reached the age of majority. Remember, again, in order to become a gadol, I don't mean about like in a spiritual sense, I just mean in a physical sense. So you need 2 things. You need shanim and you need simanim. You need ultimately, again, physical age and signs of physical maturation. So physical age, okay, we could establish. What the Gemara is saying over here is that if someone is just on the cusp of adulthood and they are engaging in these halachic processes, we need to physically examine for signs of physical maturation. So therefore, again, bodkin, we will check the individual right for signs of physical maturation if he affected kiddushin or gerushin or divorce or chalitza or miyun. Also remember, again, miyun is the process by which a father has the ability to mekadesh his daughter doraisa. A mother and a brother have the ability to enter their sister-daughter into kiddushin midrabanan. The nature of that midrabanan, I will say, is that she has the ability, if she wants to get out of that marriage, all she needs to do is what? Refuse it. But that right of refusal only applies while she's a ketana. The moment she becomes a gidola and still lives in this marriage is the moment the marriage transforms into a daraisa marriage. So same thing with Miyun. But to sell off property, his father's property, estate property, he has to wait until he's 20 years old to do so. So we'll say, so fine. So the Gemara, so the Bryce is teaching me is, Rav Nachman is teaching me is, that Allah, if let's say a child, the age of 13 years old in one day, or around that age, engages in kiddushin or gittin, so we have to do a physical examination ultimately to make sure that the person possesses signs of physical maturation. I'm sorry? So once I asked the Gemara, I don't understand. If I already checked him for Kiddushin, why do I have to check him for Git? In other words, remember again, there's a process here. You can only have a get if you had Kiddushin. So if you already checked him for signs of physical maturation for Kiddushin, why would I have to check him again in order to go ahead and give the get? To which the Gemara says is actually quite interesting. So we'll say it's two different cases. The case of Kiddushin is where the boy is getting married. The young man is getting married. The case of Gittin Rabosai is where he affected a Yibum relationship. Now, what does that mean? Disnan ben teisha shana v'yomechad shaba yivinto kina'a ve'ein nosin get ad sheyigdal. Rabosai is an interesting halacha case. The halacha is that from the time that a boy is 9 years old and 1 day, his bia is considered to be a halachically valid bia. So we'll say you could have the following situation of my brother dies, we'll call him Ruvain. Reuben leaves behind a brother Shimon, who's 9 years old in 1 day. Shimon has bia with the Yavama. Now, both say he's not actually old enough to be able to affect halachic kiddushin. But here's the difference. The difference is Yibum is affected through bia. Because his bia is significant, therefore what? Therefore he has affected kiddushin. He's married. He's effectively married the Yavama. But here's the problem, which is what? He can't give her a get. So we'll say, so this would be the situation where the Kiddushin was affected, or I should say the Yibum was affected, they're married, but Lamaisa, if he wants to divorce or she wants to get divorced, whatever it is, and he's giving a get, so Lamaisa, we'd have to check him for Shtei Saros at the time that he's giving the get. Quite interesting. So what's the case of Chalitza? So we'll say the Chalitza case comes to exclude the position of Rabbi Yossi, because as Rabbi Yossi said, the Amar, Ish Kasav B'Parsha, Aval Isha ben Gedola ben Ketana. Rabbi Yossi says that in the parasha of Chalitza, it makes a constant reference to the man, to the Ish. Rabbi Yossi holds that for Chalitza purposes, we only need to know that the man possesses signs of physical maturation. We need not know that the woman possesses signs of physical maturation. Kamash Malan, therefore, again, the Bryce is going to teach us, the Simon Nachman is coming to teach us, Shmuel is going to teach us that Kamash Malan, Dimakshinan Isha Ish. I will say, therefore, again, it comes to teach us that we compare a woman to a man. Delok Rabbi Yossi, not in accordance with Rabbi Yossi. Therefore, I can also say the same way that the man must possess signs of physical maturation, and we have to examine them if necessary before doing chalitza. So too, again, we must be sure that the woman possesses signs of physical maturation as well before allowing her to engage in the process of chalitza. What's next? Unin. So we'll say, so again, remember the Bryce also said, same with the Shmuel also said that for miyun purposes, we'll say. So remember again, this is the opposite case. A girl can only do miyun before she exhibits signs of physical maturation. I was about to say that remember, when it comes to miyun cases, halacha is like this: mother or brother married off the girl. It's only kiddushin d'Rabbanan. So because it's kiddushin d'Rabbanan, it can be dissolved through simple refusal. But that right of refusal, that window of refusal only exists while she's a ketana. The moment she becomes a gedola and still lives in this marriage transforms to a regular marriage. And in that moment, in order to dissolve it, you need what? You need a get. So we'll say in the case of miyun, the inspection, right? The examination is to determine that what? That she doesn't have signs of physical maturation. In other words, we don't want her to have shtei saros. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar, ad she'ir b'shachar. Also, Rabbi Yehuda holds that for miyun purposes, she has to have not just what he calls yir b'shachar. Yir b'shachar, let's say, means that the hairs are long enough that they could be bent back and forth, that allow that entire area, osamakum, to appear darker as if it's covered by hair. As we'll say, what Rabbi Yehuda is saying is that for physical maturation, he requires more than just shtei saros. He requires, it literally means longer hairs that could be folded back and forth. But what he's saying is a more advanced stage of physical maturation. To which the Gemara says, Kamash Malon, Delok Rabbi Yossi, Delok Rabbi Yehuda. Therefore, we'll say the Bryce is coming to teach, or Shmuel is coming to teach us that halacha doesn't follow Rabbi Yehuda, but rather, again, as soon as she has shtei saros, two basic hairs, then halacha l'maisa, that's a sign of physical maturation. Once she's physically mature, she's a gedola. Once she's a gedola, she no longer has the ability to go ahead and engage in miyun. But limkar b'nichse aviv, I will say what was next. What was next is, now remember, it ended off by saying that he could only sell the property of his father up until the age of 20. Ad shei ben esrei. He could only sell once he reaches the age of 20. Lafuke miman da'amar ben shmonaseh. So both sides. Remember, 20 is the age of Rav Huna. So this comes to exclude the position of Rava. Rava said that Lamaisa, again, a child could already go ahead and sell from the age of 18. Therefore, Kamash Shmalan, we pass in like Rav Huna, that has to be from the age of 20 and on. And I will say this is actually very exciting because the sugya closes itself out over here. V'hilchasa, the halacha I will say is the following. Number one, Tochzman kilifneizman. I will say number one, halacha lemaisa, is that we say, remember we asked yesterday, assuming that we established that the age to sell off property is 20 according to Rav Huna, 18 according to Rava. What about when a person is in their 20th year, right? In other words, I've just reached 19, past 19, I'm into the 20th year, or into the 18th year, 17 years old plus. So I'll say, so could a child sell off property during that time? So we pass in Tochzman kilifneizman. No, we'll say anything before the 20th or 18th birthday is like being before the necessary age, and therefore halacha l'maisa again cannot be done. Next, v'hilchasa kegidul bar menashe. So we'll say, so the halacha follows gidul bar menashe. What did gidul bar menashe say? Gidul bar menashe said, will say that if you have a 13-year-old child, right, 13 years old in one day, hayodeh b'masa umatan, who has business acumen, is a good businessman. What's the halacha? He has the ability to go ahead and sell off estate property. So we'll say, even though we paskin like Rav Huna, that a son has to, or daughter, by the way, a son or a daughter has to be 20 years old in order to sell off estate property. That's only if they don't possess unusual business acumen. But if, again, the child is a business prodigy, he knows how to conduct business, right? Then halacha l'maisa, again, even from a young age. Now, again, has to be a gadol, has to be at least 13 years old in one day. From that age and on, could go ahead and conduct business. The hilchasa kimar zutra. Furthermore, again, I will say that halacha is like mar zutra, namely what? Namely, that if you look at the Rashbam, it's the third wide line. That from the age of 13 years old in one day, this young man can now serve as an aid, but can't serve as an aid regarding karka, only regarding metaltalin, because we assume he does not yet know karka. And the hilchasa ka'ameimar. Furthermore, the halacha follows ameimar, which is that even though a child below the age of 20 cannot sell property, but a child below the age of 20, above the age of 13 years old in one day, has the right to what? Gift property. Gift property, because we all say this is considered to be in the best interest of the estate. The hilchasa Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel v'kulu. And Rav say the halacha follows Rav Nachman bar Shmuel in accordance with all of these cases that we just stated beforehand. All of these cases, we'll say, which we again check for simanim to make sure that the individual has indeed reached the age of majority. So we'll say, so just to organize it a bit differently, again, so halacha said to close out this sugya, a child must be at least the age of 20 and above in order to go ahead and sell off estate property. Unless, of course, the child exhibits incredible business acumen, in which case, as long as the child is above the age of 13 years old in one day, I'm seeing these halachos in terms of boys, but the same halachos apply in terms of girls. Unless the child exhibits incredible business acumen, then they could sell off from the age of 13 years old in one day. Even though they can't sell to the age of 20, that doesn't impact their ability to be an aid. A child can be an aid already from the age of 13 years old in one day, but it appears not regarding karka. Not regarding karka. They can only be an aid regarding karka once they reach this age of greater maturity. Even though they can't sell property, a child above the age of 13 years old in one day can gift property because that is considered to be in the best interest of the estate. Good. Says the Mishnah. Let's say we go weiter. Let's say somebody's going ahead and dividing up his estate, right through a verbal declaration. Rebbe Elazar Omer Echad Bari ve'Echad Mesukan. So what Rebbe Elazar says that whether the grantor is healthy or whether he is a shchibnira, that's Mesukan in a dangerous precarious state. So what's the halacha? The chasim sheish l'machrayas nikne bekesev b'shtar b'chazaka. So I'll say, listen to this. Apparently, and the Rashbam points this out, Rebbe Elazar does not subscribe to the idea of divrei shchibnira kiksuvin dichim surin damu. Rabbi Elazar does not believe that a shchimira is vested with any special acquisitory or conveyatory, I know that's not a word, but conveyatory powers, right? And therefore, again, a shchimira is just like anyone else. Therefore, what Rabbi say, when it comes, if he wants to gift properties to someone else, and he's doing it again, not through a shtar, but just through a verbal declaration, then the halacha is the following, that movable property, what we call, I should say, real property, can only be acquired with kesef, shtar, chazaka, money, a document, or proprietary act. And movable property, Rabbi say, can only be acquired through what? Can only be acquired ultimately, again, through Mashiach. If you take a look at that Rashbam, the Rashbam just says, Rabbi Elazar Omer Echad Bari Ve'echad Mesukah, Rabbi Elazar Svirulei, D'le'in Shchimira Einon Kiksur Mechum Surim Damu, Elo Kebari Ba'ama, V'tzarech Kinyan Kishar Matnas Bari. We'll say, that's Rabbi Elazar's Shita, Amud Beis. Amrulo. So we'll say, so the Rabbanon said to Rabbi Elazar, 1 second, Ma'aseh Be'iman Shel B'nei Rochel, Shahaisa, so we actually made reference to this story. But what about the episode of the mother of the sons of Rochel? Rochel was the father's name. So the Rabbanan say, what about the story with the sons of Rochel? Shahaisa Chola. The Rabbanan says she was ill. She was on her deathbed. But she said, Tenu kibinasi labiti. Give my pin. She had a very expensive pin. She said, give my pin to my daughter. Vihi b'shnei masar mana. That pin was very expensive, worth a lot of money, 12 mana. Umeisa, then she subsequently died. And what happened? B'kaimu estivareha. And the rabbis upheld her word. So we'll say, what do you see from here? This was b'pashtos imatnas shchivnera. She was conveying the pin to her daughter. How? Just through a verbal declaration. And what do you see? The rabbis upheld it. So we'll say, what do you see from here? The rabbis trying to prove to Rabbi Elazar. You see from here that what? That a matana of a shchivnera in fact operates in a different way. And a shchivnera can't convey something without formal kinyanim. To which Rabbi Elazar says, Amar lahen. Amar lahen. So we'll say, Rabbi Elazar says, B'nei Rochel tikbarem iman. B'nei Rochel, their mother should bury them. Which, okay, well, we'll discuss exactly what that means. But that's another way of saying, I don't think we can bring a raya from B'nai Rochel. I think that case might be a bit different. And we'll see, by the way, why Rebbe Elazar has such negative words for B'nai Rochel. The point Rebbe Elazar is trying to make is, you can't bring me a raya from that case, as we'll see. Says the Gemara Tanya. So we'll say, so fundamental machlokes over here between Rebbe Elazar and the Chachamim. Namely, again, does a shchimera have special abilities or not? Or not? So we'll say, so Rabbi Elazar says, no, a shchimera is just like every other person. And therefore, again, he doesn't have the ability to convey property in any kind of specific or unique way. The Chacham saying natural shchimera does have the ability to do so. So let's understand this machlokes. Tanya, we learned in a brayso. We'll say, Kof Nun Vav Amud Beis, 156. B, 4 lines down. Tanya, now 5 lines. Amar Lahan Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Elazar will say, so again, you see just 2 different gersos. If this is Rabbi Elazar or Rabbi Eliezer. So the Surah Shas changes it over here again to Rabbi Elazar. That goes to Tzionim. So Rabbi Elazar says, Amar Rabbi Elazar Chachamim. Maisa b'Meironi Achar. Let's listen to this case. There was a guy, a Meironi. We'll say, what's a Meironi? What's a Meironi? A Jew from Meiron. Jew from Meiron. There was an episode with a Jew from Meiron, Shahai B'Yerushalayim, we'll say, who came to Yerushalayim. V'hayu lo metaltalin harbe. He had a lot of movable property. Ubikesh litna b'matana. He wanted to convey it to other people with matana. Both, and we're assuming over here that's what? We're assuming that Rashbam says Shahai Shchivmira. So we are assuming over here that this Meironi is now a Shchivmira. He's away from home. He's now in Yerushalayim, and before he dies, he wants to find a way to gift away his property. So what happens? So Bikesh litna b'matana. Amrulo. So they said to him, meaning the rabbis in Jerusalem said to him, Ein lahem takana ad sheyitna al gav karka. So they said to him, say, listen, the only way for you to convey property, to convey your metaltalin is how? Agav karka. Agav karka. In other words, so you have to go ahead and gift away a piece of property. And when you gift away the piece of property, in other words, with the property, you could convey the metaltalin. Agav. Now remember, we discussed already that Kinyan Agav, we paskin, Sa'inan Ba'inan Siburim. In other words, we'll say the way you could convey movable property is on the back of real property. So if I convey you land, I could convey you metaltalin along with that land. And of course, the halacha is that the metaltalin need not to be piled on that land itself. So the metaltalin could be in Meron, and the land could be in Yerushalayim. And when I convey to you the land in Yerushalayim, you get the metaltalin in Meron as well. So what happens? So what did the guy do? Halach v'lakach beis sela echad samach Yerushalayim. So the Shchimera went and bought a little piece of land, base Sela, a Sela's worth of land. And the Rashbam says over here, V'lakach base Sela, She'eroi l'zriya, u'kno b'zol l'shem kin, almanas laknos. We'll say, what did he do? He bought for himself a cheap piece of land. There's no cheap land in Yerushalayim, but okay. He went ahead. This was, I guess, before the properties, the olden days. So he bought for himself an old piece of land. In other words, he bought for himself a piece of land that was not fit for agriculture and maybe not fit for building it. In other words, the land wasn't usable for anything. So therefore, he got it cheap, but it's okay. He doesn't need to use it for anything. All he's using it, I will say, is for what? Is a mechanism of conveyance. So he went ahead and he bought this piece of land. And what does he do? Ba'amar, Sifono leploni v'imo me'atzono me'achavios. The northern tip of this land should go to Ploni, and along with it, again, so I'm giving him the northern tip of the land, and along with this land, I'm conveying to Ploni 100 sheep and 100 barrels of wine. Uduromo leploni, and the southern tip of the land, I'm conveying to someone else. V'imo me'atzono me'achavios, and I'm giving him 100 sheep, 100 barrels as well. Umeis, and then the guy, the Meironi, died. The Kaimu Chachamim Estevarav, and the rabbis upheld his word. So we'll say, what do you see from this story? You see from this story that a Shchiv Meirah does not have special conveyatory powers, but rather, again, the Shchiv Meirah has to avail himself of the same kinyanim as everyone else. Meaning, again, I will say, you see from here that we don't say different Shchiv Meirah, because if that was true, that if the words of the Shechina are like they're written in Shtar, then what? The Shechina could have just gifted away the barrels and the sheep without having to do it agav karka. The fact that it has to do it agav karka seems to support the position of Rabbi Lazar that the Shechina has no special conveyatory powers. Amrulo, so the Rabbanan said to Rabbi Lazar, Misham Raya, had approved Meironi Barihaya. The Meironi wasn't a Shchiv Meirah. The Meironi was a bari. It just happened to be he died after he made this conveyance, but he was not the Shechina, was a totally healthy person. If he was a totally healthy person, then I understand. A totally healthy person, I must say that everybody agrees that the only way to convey property is how? Through normal conveyatory mechanisms. And therefore, again, halacha l'maisa, they told me if you want to convey Narvasa, the issue is he's in Yerushalayim and he wants to convey metaltalin in Meron. To which the rabbis told him, fine, if you want to do that, the only way to do that is agav karka. And therefore, again, that's why I bought land. But there's no raya over here to the case ultimately of Shemira. So we'll say now, remember, let's go back for just a moment. So remember, the Rabbanon in the Mishnah bring the episode of Bnei Rochel as a proof to their position that a Shemira has the ability just to convey things through verbal declaration. Divrei Shu, the words of Shemira are keksuvin v'chimsurin damu. And Rabbi Lazar comes along and says, Bnei Rochel, and they prove that from the story of Bnei Rochel, where Mrs. Rochel, when she was a Shemira, conveyed her pin to her daughter just simply through a verbal declaration. To which Rabbi Lazar said, Bnei Rochel, they should be buried. Rabbi Lazar does not have warm and fuzzy feelings towards Bnei Rochel. To which the Gemara says, my time kalayatlu. Why is Rabbi Lazar cursing the sons of Rochel? In other words, what did they do that's so bad that Rabbi Lazar has clearly such a disdain and a dislike for them? I wasn't listening to this. They used to grow thorns in the vineyard. So we'll say, there's a halacha called kloya karen. So kloya karen means you can't grow other species within a vineyard. It's a forbidden mixture. So apparently, Bnei Rochel used to grow thorn bushes in their vineyard. Rabbi Elazar l'tamei, and Rabbi Elazar goes according to his reasoning. This nan hamakayim kotzim keren. If someone goes ahead and grows thorn bushes in their vineyard, Rabbi Elazar omer kadosh. Rabbi Elazar is also, and kadosh in this case doesn't mean it's holy. Kadosh means from lashon of it's an illegal growth. Right? It's prohibited. So Rabbi Elazar says that growing thorn bushes in a vineyard is a forbidden mixture. The Chum say lo kiddush. Chum say no, it's not a forbidden mixture. In other words, thorn bushes is not a significant. We'll discuss why. But ultimately, again, is not a significant growth, and therefore, again, does not create forbidden mixtures. So lo kiddush ela davar shekamahu mekaymin. So we'll say ultimately, again, the Chacham hold like this. We'll say, what's the definition of a forbidden mixture? The forbidden mixture has to be that you introduce a second species that person wants to be there. I want it there. In other words, it's a plant that is significant. That's what it means. Davar shekamo mekaymin, something that people would want to sustain. That's a forbidden mixture. But I will say, the Rabbanan say something like thorns, which what? People don't want, or right? It's not something on a normal level that people want. Therefore, halacha l'maaseh, it's not a forbidden mixture. So I will say, watch this. So bishlam karkum chazi. So we'll say if a person's going ahead and planting karkum, so karkum is some type of spice. Sometimes karkum is translated as saffron. All right, if a person's going ahead and planting karkum, so we'll say I understand if I'm planting karkum in my vineyard, so that is an illegal planting, an illegal growth. Why? Because a person wants the vines and they also want the karkum, and you're planting two species within close proximity to each other. I understand that's illegal. Chazi. So also with Gemara is asking Rabbi Lazar, why would it be illegal to plant thorn bushes in a vineyard? After all, nobody wants thorn bushes. So because it's not a species that in general people want. So Lamaisa, why would it be an illegal mixture? To which the Gemara, bless you, Amar Rabbi Chanina. So the Gemara says, my time is Rabbi Lazar. So what's Rabbi Lazar's logic? Shekem ba'aravya mekayim and kotsim b'sodos ligmalei. In Arabia, so right, it's in the Arab countries. So they used to go ahead and want thorn bushes. Why do you want thorn bushes? Apparently, camels eat thorn bushes. So because of that, say a person wants this growth. And therefore, again, because people want thorn bushes for their camels, therefore what? It's considered to be a significant growth. And we'll say, if you take a look at the Rashbam for just a moment, it's actually quite interesting. It's actually right across. Just go straight, make a hard left from the Gemara. Shekem ba'aravya v'rabbanan basa ruba da'alma azli shin mekayim v'sodos ligmalei. So also listen to this. The fundamental machlokes between Rabbi Lazar and the Chachamim is in the following. In order for a growth to be considered a forbidden mixture within a vineyard, do we require that the majority of the world would consider this a significant growth, or do we say that even a minority considers it a significant growth and make it illegal? What's the nafkamina, Rabbi saying? The nafkamina will be where, in a case of thorn bushes in a vineyard, the majority of the world would want that out. The majority of the world would say that is not considered to be a beneficial growth in the vineyard, and therefore, again, it's not klaya keren. But the minority says, for example, the minority being the people in Arabia would want the thorn bushes. Why? Camel feed. It's camel feed. Therefore, having that in the vineyard is actively beneficial. So I'll say, so the fundamental machlokes is for klaya kerem, is it a din in rov or even a din in miut? The Rabbanan say it's a din in rov. Therefore, the thorn bushes in the vineyard is not a din in klaya kerem. Versus Rabbi Lazar says no, that it's even a din in miut. Someone consider this as ultimately it makes it klaya kerem. So let's end up the Gemara. Amar Levi. Konin kinyan mishchimira afilu b'Shabbos. I say this is amazing. The halacha is we're makabel kinyan from a shchimira on Shabbos, v'lo lochush l'divrei Rebbe Lazar, and we need not be concerned with the words of Rebbe Lazar. I will say now, what does this mean? Take a look at the Rashbam. Konin mishchimira afilu b'Shabbos. Rashbam says lo shna heicha shetzarech kinyan kigon shishir lo shna mechalik kol nechasav dechevan detalitain mishum shema tishof daito alav. The lo samcha daite shet is kain tzavasu b'amira hilchach kedei lahafiz daito kolin afilu b'Shabbos b'chol matanosav bein shishir b'tzarech kinyan bein shalosh shir b'amira sagi ba'af agav the kinyan. So we'll say, watch. I'm going to go back for just a moment. Ba'af agav the kinyan david lemekach umemkar. And we'll say, under normal circumstances, the halacha is that you can't go ahead and what? You can't go ahead and make kinyanim on Shabbos. Then we'll say, why can you not make a kinyan on Shabbos? Why no kinyan on Shabbos? Why? It's Xera of Mekach or Memkar. It resembles a business transaction. But let's say Mekach or Memkar transactions are prohibited lest they lead to Xera. But it's actually important to know because this comes up more often than you think. If you're going somewhere for a Suda on Shabbos and you bring someone a gift, So that could go ahead and pose certain halachic problems on Shabbos of kinyanim. Therefore, Rabbi said the halacha is the following: what happens if a wants to make a gift of property to someone on Shabbos? And I'm there, two Eidim are there, and again, in the Shemira says, be makabel kinyan on behalf of the intended recipient. Can you be makabel kinyan on Shabbos? And I will say the halacha that Rabbi Levi is saying is the answer is yes. And I will say now the answer is yes in two cases. There are sometimes where you need kabbalas kinyan from a shemira, sometimes where you don't need kabbalas kinyan. If the shemira is giving away his entire estate, then what? No kinyan is necessary. Why? Because again, that's a matna shemira, and sometimes a kinyan is necessary. Like when a shemira is only giving away partial property, that's when a kinyan is necessary. But Levi says either way, you could be makabel kinyan on behalf of a shemira on Shabbos. Why? The Gemara says shema titrof daitu alav. Because I will say, when it comes to a shemira, what we are most concerned about is what? That he not suffer any additional mental anguish. Therefore, if being makabel kinyan is going to put his mind at ease, then we are allowed to do that on Shabbos. Whether that kinyan is necessary, whether that kinyan is not necessary, to give him the necessary mental quietude or emotional quietude, we're permitted to makabel kinyan, which I will say essentially is another way of saying the prohibition or the inability under normal circumstances to be makabel kinyan is dirabanan. The rabbis chose to lift their restriction in a case of shemira. Since being makabel kinyan gives the shemira a certain sense of yishav adas, therefore the rabbanon ultimately again allowed the im to be makabel kinyan from the shemira on Shabbos, shema titrav daitala. Because if you don't do it, the concern is you may give him additional mental anguish, which may exacerbate his already compromised situation. All right, we'll stop over here. We'll pick up with the Mishnah tomorrow.